Animal Farm by George Orwell. Animal Farm tells a story of a group of farm animals overthrowing their tyrannical human masters, establishing a new society run by the animals. Later, it details the descent of these new leaders into the tyrannical action formerly exhibited by the humans. The story serves as an analysis and an allegory for the Russian Revolution. After the downfall of the humans, a large chunk of the book is spent building and developing the pig's rise to power and superiority over the other animals. This process in-world is gradual, yet swift structurally, as essentially every chapter adds a new way that the pigs stretch the limits of their power slightly, or in other words, become more like the human predecessors. The pig's evolution over the course of the story grossly contrasts the teachings of Old Major. Major's vision was one of peace, unity, and equality on the farm. These can be seen in the direct interpretation of the vision of his farm immediately after his death within the 7 Commandments, which go as follows. Whatever goes upon 2 legs is an enemy. Whatever goes upon 4 legs or has wings is a friend. No animal shall wear clothes. No animal shall sleep in a bed. No animal shall drink alcohol. No animal shall kill any other animal, and all animals are equal. The plot structure aims to represent the progression further and further away from Major's vision, spearheaded by Napoleon. These commandments are completely thrown away in the climax, the end of the story, where the pigs begin to walk on 2 feet, wear clothes, and drink alcohol in the house that was once designated an area not to be bothered, a harsh reminder of the life that the animals work together to destroy. This story arc is comparable to that of the saga of Planet of the Apes. After gaining incredibly enhanced genetic and mental capacity due to the contraction of the simian flu, apes, using their newfound power, immediately set into motion a widespread revolt of every ape on Earth against the humans who imprisoned them in zoos and experimented on them in labs. Eventually, the apes take over the entire world, led by Caesar, wiping out every human on Earth over the span of a decade, founding an ape-ruled society that spread across the entire world. With the leadership of Caesar, this community was one of peace, meant to learn from the mistakes of humans. This vision is first contested in the second movie, with the antagonist Koba attempting to overthrow the peaceful world created by Caesar, attempting to utilize violence and cruelty to further their society. This temporary fall into the ways of humans mirrors that in Animal Farm, with Caesar stating, "I always thought apes were better than humans. I see now how much like them we are." While Caesar successfully restores peace before his death, the sequel of the series, taking place 200 years into the future, shows that the human tendencies did win in the end, with the ape society completely being built on inequality and the thirst for power exhibited by the new ape leader, Proximus Caesar. In both stories, there's a leader with a vision of peace after a revolution, a world where the mistakes of humans are learned from and changed. Major and Caesar both represent this vision. But in both stories, a character contests this, winning in the end, and becoming the very thing the predecessors swore to destroy. The characters represented in these stories are Napoleon, Koba, and Proximus Caesar. A major conflict represented in the story was the destruction of the windmill, otherwise known as the Battle of the Windmill. This windmill served as a beacon of the revolution, a symbol of light, hope, and a better tomorrow. The destruction of the windmill represented the irreversible turn for the worse on the farm, and the inability for things to go back to the way they were, or the way that was envisioned by Major. This is comparable to the 3rd movie in the Star Wars saga, Revenge of the Sith. As was the downfall of the farm, the turn of Anakin to the dark side was a slow burn and a major internal struggle, with his struggle serving as a microcosm to the external struggle of the galaxy against the return of the Sith and the rise of the Galactic Empire. While Anakin's fall to the dark side was rumored and tiptoed around by those close to him, Anakin's siege and destruction of the Jedi Temple and the slaughtering of the Jedi younglings was a tipping point, and the moment Obi-Wan realized his apprentice was gone and drastic measures had to be taken. The temple was a symbol of peace and hope in the galaxy, destroyed by Anakin, just as the windmill was destroyed in Animal Farm. In the text, this turn for the worse was represented by a dark shift in tone from the narrator, whereas in Star Wars, this shift was perfectly encapsulated by this scene.
I don't believe what I'm hearing. Obi-Wan was right. You've changed.
I don't want to hear any more about Obi-Wan. The Jedi turned against me. Don't you turn against me?
I don't know you anymore. Anakin, you're breaking my heart.
Put quite simply, the Animal Farm and its characters are meant to represent the events and figures involved in the Russian Revolution. With Old Major representing Karl Marx, Snowball representing Leon Trotsky, Napoleon representing Joseph Stalin, Squealer representing the propaganda, and Boxer, the Russian public, and the labor force. More specifically, Old Major represented the founder of the idea, Napoleon, the figurehead for the movement, and the one breaking down the philosophy into something the founder never meant it to be. Snowball, the advocate for the old concepts, later silenced by the tyrant. And Squealer, being the lies told to the public. And finally Boxer, the hardworking public, forced into complacency from love of the founder and a hope for a better world for themselves. Snowball and Napoleon represent a striking contrast in interpretations of the intentions regarding the words of Old Major, where Snowball encourages the growth, liberation, and equality of the farm and the prosperity of all animals. Napoleon is manipulative, self-centered, and abusive to his comrades, being power-hungry and only interested in his own personal gain. Snowball is exiled when Napoleon finally gains full control of the farm, as Stalin removed Trotsky from power and exiled him from the USSR. Despite the obvious contradiction between the two pigs throughout the story, their conflict is solidified after the Battle of the Windmill. Comrades, do you know who is responsible for this? Do you know the enemy who has come in the night and overthrown our windmill? Snowball. After spreading this lie to the public, Napoleon is given the chance to get rid of the only obstacle in his way of full control. Napoleon then sets his plan in motion to banish Snowball from the farm, where it's stated, 9 enormous dogs wearing brass-studded collars came bounding into the barn. They dashed straight for Snowball, who only sprang from his place just in time to escape their snapping jaws. Snowball escapes, is presumed dead, and is never heard from again in the story. And soon, Napoleon has gained full control of the farm. Finally, the revolution and conflict occurring within the confines of the setting of the farm serve as a microcosm for the conflict occurring in Russia at the same time, estimated to be around the years 1917 to 1945. In conclusion, Animal Farm is a story of hope, tyranny, rebellion, and the human nature. Parallels between the events of the story and the events occurring in the real world serve to create a digestible historical summary, as well as a criticism of early 1900s communist Russia and the Stalinist regime.